Yo, what up everybody? It's Justin here. Today I got a new video that's going to go over the American College of Sports Medicine's FITT Principle and how you can use the FITT Principle to create high quality programming for your patients and clients. Alright, so this quick video, it's going to go over 5 different categories. The first is going to be general considerations you're going to want to use prior to prescribing exercise to your patients or clients. Second is going to be what a general exercise training session will look like. Third is going to be what is the FITT Principle. Fourth is going to be how do I use the FITT Principle to prescribe exercise prescription to my clients. And 5 is going to be extra tools, tips, and tricks that we can use when using the FITT Principle. Before we get into this video, I did want to just mention that all of the information in this video is coming from ACSM's Guidelines to Exercise Testing and Prescription, the 11th edition booklet. So this is where we're getting all of our info from. So to kick this off, we're going to start with just general indications when prescribing exercise to your patients and clients. So the first thing is you're going to want to mitigate any risk to any cardiovascular or musculoskeletal risk or injury. So to do that, you're simply just going to have your client fill out a pre-participation health screening form or do some sort of pre-medical evaluation so you know your client's risk factors. When beginning an exercise program, you're going to want to start at a light to moderate intensity. You're definitely not going to want to start someone off at a high to vigorous intensity program, especially if they're new to exercise. And then lastly, you're going to want to individualize your exercise prescription to the client. You definitely don't want to do any cookie cutter programming to where you're just giving the same sort of programming or exercise prescription to every single client. You want to individualize the exercise testing and prescription to your client. With all that information in mind, we're going to head into part 2, which are the components of an exercise training session. So there are generally 4 components of your exercise training session. The first is going to be your warm-up or initiation phase. Second is going to be your conditioning phase. Third is going to be your cool-down phase. And fourth is going to be your flexibility phase. So the warm-up or initiation phase, it's generally about 15 minutes long, and it's going to be the part of your programming where the client or patient is allowing the body to physically adapt to the changes that are about to take place for your conditioning phase. So for that, any general light range of motion exercises, dynamic stretches are very good. You can do, some very light cardio to allow the blood vessels to dilate, send blood to the working muscles. Allow the body temperature to increase to help with, muscle tendon elasticity, and generally just kind of getting the body nice and primed up for the conditioning phase. The next component in your training session is going to be the conditioning phase. So this is going to last anywhere from 10 to 60 minutes long, and it's all going to be kind of based on the intensity that your client's going to be doing. But it can be anything from resistance training, aerobic training, flexibility training, or any sports activities that are more specified to what your client wants to achieve with their training program. Progressing into the cool down phase, this is where you're going to generally decrease the intensity with your client going into a cool down, so allowing the heart rate to dip down to, resting levels, pre-conditioning levels, and allow the body to be more in a relaxed state to progress into the next phase. All right, so the last phase in the training session is going to be the flexibility phase. The guidelines does state that you can do this in the beginning with your, warm-up phase, but it also has its own separate phase at the very end of your training session. The biggest thing with the flexibility phase is, you're going to be doing different types of stretches to help increase range of motion for the muscle groups that you worked with, removing waste from the system, and just allowing proper recovery so the body can bounce back and do another training session. All right, now that we've gone over general considerations and what a training session looks like, we're going to be going into the FITT principle and how you can use it to program for your clients. So the FITT principle is used so you can individualize your exercise prescription to your clients. It's a 4-letter acronym that stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. Frequency is going to be how often you're going to be doing your exercise prescription. Intensity, obviously how intense you're going to be doing your exercise prescription. Time, how long is your session going to last? Everything from the very start of your session to the very end of your session. And then type, what are you going to be doing in your session to help progress the client? So when I use the FITT principle to prescribe exercise, I generally like to go off of the ACSM's recommendations of getting 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise per week. That type of intensity for that prolonged period of time is when you're going to have some sort of, health benefits or, metabolic musculoskeletal adaptations occur to, help improve the body. So using this information from the ACSM guidelines, what I like to do next is generally gauge what my client's schedule looks like. That way, I know that they're going to have time to perform the exercise that I'm going to prescribe to them. So again, I'm going to see what their schedule generally looks like, find the windows in the week that the client's going to have to where they can exercise, and those are the time slots that I'm going to use to prescribe the exercise to the client that's going to build into their fitness goals, health goals that they want to achieve with this specific exercise program. Once my client's goals have been identified, I'm going to now use this FITT principle to filter into their program. So first off, I'm going to use frequency. How many days are we going to be exercising to achieve these health goals that you set? Intensity. What level of intensity are you going to be exercising at primarily during your exercise session to work towards these health benefits that you want? Time. How much time per session are we going to be using to work towards these goals that you want to achieve? And then type. What types of exercises are we going to be doing? What types of activities are we going to be doing? And I'm going to use all of this information to tailor this program for my client. And keynote here, you guys, remember, everyone is built differently. So, if you had one program that worked good for someone, you don't necessarily want to give that same program to your client. Again, you want everything to be relative to the client. So say they have really strong, lower body muscles, but very weak upper body muscles. And, they're really wanting to increase their upper body strength and endurance. That program should be tailored into increasing upper body strength and endurance. Everything should be focused on the goals of the client that they want to achieve. And you are just going to be the resources that help provide, everything that the client needs to achieve these goals. On the screen, I'm going to be putting the FITT principles up on here for your review. The biggest thing with these FITT principles, there are some specific ones that are tailored to resistance training or cardiorespiratory fitness that you can follow. So I'm going to be putting all of these up on the screen, everything from resistance training to cardio training, flexibility, and these are just the general prescriptions coming out of the ACSM guidelines book. Everyone's intensity is going to be relatively different. You're going to have some individuals who are going to be able to perform at a 65 to 70% heart rate reserve, heart rate max, intensity, compared to some who are only going to be able to perform at those lower conditioning levels to where, they're anywhere between 40 and 60% heart rate reserve, VO2 reserve. How you want to prescribe the intensity to your clients, have them do some pre-exercise assessments so you generally know what their fitness levels are, so you'll know where to progress them from. If the client's wanting to, build muscular strength and endurance, we're going to be doing a, resistance-based program. If they're going to want to be increasing their cardiovascular health, we're going to be doing a cardiorespiratory cardio fitness program. Everything's going to be tailored to them, but we want to make sure we have the right types of exercises that are going to help the client achieve their program outcome. So that's going to wrap up this video, everyone. Again, I hope this content was very helpful for you in using the FITT principle and prescribing your exercise prescription to your new clients. That does it for me, y'all. Justin out. See you in the next one.